Today I want to talk about the disappearance of baby Lisa Irwin. She went missing October 4th, 2011 in Kansas City. Many of you know I'm born and raised in Kansas City, specifically Johnson County, Kansas, where some of this was going on. So I've always kind of watched this case. And this year, or I think early this year, they came out with a new age progression of Lisa. I think this is an age progression to age 10. It's the next picture coming up. So they're still trying to keep her out there in the public eye. So just for a little background for people that may not be so familiar, or just a refresher. Baby Liz, the night she went missing, her dad was working at Starbucks as an electrician building a new Starbucks. What's always been odd to me is that this man never worked nights until that night. So weird. That night of all nights, he worked, and he had told his wife, Deborah, now she wasn't married to him at the time, but I'm going to say wife and husband just to make it easier. So he told her he would be home around 10. He left around 5:30. And that he would be home around 10. Well, come to find out, he ended up working way later than he thought, so he didn't get home till around 3:45 in the morning. Which, that's a huge time difference. Huge. Number one, I would know if my husband was going to be home at 10 or 3:45. I mean, if he told me 10 and didn't come home at 10, wouldn't you call and ask him where he was? That's such a strange... You know, there's so many parts of this case that remind me of other cases, and that always happens. There's like little parts that remind me of the Ramsey case and other cases. It's just so weird. So anyway, apparently Deborah was sitting on her front porch with a friend, drinking wine, 5 to 10 glasses, she says, while her kids, the neighbor kid, and maybe Lisa were all in the house. Now that's bizarre to me that you could sit on the front porch for hours, 4 or 5 hours drinking, and nobody got up to check on the kids, especially with a 11-month-old baby in the house. Who does that? That's so weird to me. But another neighbor came and talked to him and said they were both obviously drinking and having a good time, and he sat there and talked to him for an hour and a half, and nobody ever got up to check on the kids. So that's just crazy bizarre to me. Now keep in mind, this is the second story Deborah told. Her first story, which was a total lie, was that she had checked on the baby at like 6:30, checked on her again at 10:30. She put her to bed at 6:30, and then checked on her again at 10:30, and then went to bed, which was all a lie. They knew it was a lie because they had surveillance video of her at a grocery store buying a box of wine with her brother, along with some diapers, wipes, etc. So she got caught in the lie, so then she fesses up that she was sitting there drinking with the neighbor all night. So I never like it when a story changes, especially when it involves a baby. I can't even imagine lying to the police about what I was doing the night my daughter disappeared. It would just never occur to me, even though I would know that if I was drinking, that was not going to look good for me. But I'm smart enough to know a lie is going to look way worse. So, of course, she becomes suspect number 1. No big surprise there. There's so many troubling things about this case to me, and most of them centered around the mom. But I do think it's weird, too, that the husband, like I said, he all of a sudden works a night shift and says he's coming home at 10 and then doesn't come home till 3:45. And that happens to be the night the baby goes missing. Something does not add up here for me with the husband or the wife. It just doesn't make sense. Somebody make it make sense. It just seems like too many coincidences, and I know, a lot of people, and I subscribe to it 99% of the time, is there is no such thing as a coincidence. Now, he is on video working with his supervisor till 3:45 or 3:30 when he heads home. So, I mean, I guess he's telling the truth. It just seems so weird. So he comes home and he notices the front door's not locked, the lights are on. Then he notices a window is open in their office and the screen is kind of shoved in. So then he checks his son's room, and the oldest son is in the top bunk. So then he goes into his wife's and his bedroom, and she's in bed with her other son and a stray cat. So he wakes her up and he says, well, what's going on? The lights are on. I guess money was tight. They hadn't paid their cell phone bills, so their cell phones were shut off. And he was pissed that she left the lights on and left the front door unlocked. So he wakes her up and she's like, what are you talking about? I don't know what happened. So then he goes in baby Lisa's room and sees there's no baby in the crib. So then he comes back into the bedroom and tells Deborah, where's baby Lisa? She's not in her crib. She immediately starts sobbing, sinks to the floor, says she doesn't know what's going on. They start looking frantically all over the house. They can't find her. They look under beds. They look in closets. He goes running to the next door neighbor and asks her if baby Lisa's with her, which I guess when you're desperate and frantic, you just do things like that. That I can kind of see. So then he comes back, and that's when they notice 3 cell phones are also missing that were on the counter. Now again, keep in mind they had been shut down because of non-payment. 1 phone wasn't working at all, and 2 could only accept incoming calls and texts because they hadn't paid the bill. So he gets out his work cell phone and he calls 911. Now the 911 call has never been released. But they do say that he said on the call, our baby is missing and there's a window open with a screen pushed in. So obviously he wanted them to know that, right? Because, the 911 calls are so important. Especially with statement analysis and stuff. You always want to know what's said on the 911 call. So I wish we could hear the whole thing, but they still haven't released it. It's a little hinky to me that the first thing now I don't know if it's the first thing, but it was a big thing that he pointed out that the window was open and the screen was pushed in. This was obviously something he wanted them to know. I'm not so sure with a baby missing that would be what you would tell them on a 911 call, because it seems to me it wasn't a very long 911 call. My biggest thing, if I'd have called, would be getting help to find my baby. So that's a little suspicious. So the police have totally discounted the open window because they say there was no dust disturbed on the windowsill. And the window was up high, so there's no way you could have crawled through that window and not disturbed the dust. Does that remind you of the Ramsey case? This is what I mean. It's so weird to me. The other thing was there was a big to-do about the phones, that one of the phones called a local handyman who was allegedly doing meth, called his ex-girlfriend. So the implication is that he took the baby and he had the phone and called his ex-girlfriend. That has really gone nowhere. And there's a lot of people talking about this guy. His nickname was Jersey. That 2 people saw a man walking around with a baby in the middle of the night. But all I can say is the police have pretty much discounted it. And I don't think they ever technically said that they cleared him, but they said he wasn't a person of suspicion. So I don't put much into that. So I kind of totally disregard that. I think it's a little bit of a red herring. The other thing is the FBI brought in a cadaver dog. The dog hit on the parents' bedroom on the floor next to the bed. To me, this is huge because we know she put her sons in bed with her when she supposedly or allegedly went to bed at 10:30. She put the sons in bed with her. She put the stray cat in bed with her. So why wouldn't we think that she put the baby in bed with her? Do we really think she put all those kids in bed with her and not the baby? My other thing is this. The baby supposedly went to bed at 6:40. Now, there's no way, I just don't think there's any way that a 10-month-old baby would sleep from 6:40 in the evening till the next day. I feel sure that baby would have woke up crying, needing to eat or be changed, or just woke up because she had already slept for so long. So, either way, I think that baby got up, and I think she put the baby in bed with her. And I think she could have rolled over on her and accidentally killed her. We just had a big case here locally where this happened. It happens more than we would like. And if she was drunk and she had other kids in bed with her and a cat, I could see that easily happening, and that would account for why the dog hit on the bedroom. Now, there's been a lot said about the dog. I've read a lot of things where people don't put any emphasis on this dog. I put a lot on it because years ago, I worked for the Illinois State Training Canine Center where they trained all the dogs, and I got to watch them train them every day. These dogs are impeccably trained. Now, I can't say about this specific dog, but I know I read this dog was brought in by the FBI and it was a cadaver dog. A cadaver dog is only going to find decomposition from a dead body. That's all they do. Now, I've read where some people say, oh, well, it could have been blood or a dirty diaper. That's not true. Not according to the place I worked. They would only hit on decomposition, not blood, not dirty diapers, not a Kleenex. So I put a lot of emphasis on that dog hitting in that bedroom. That speaks volumes to me. Now, these are just my opinions. These are not facts. So just want to be clear, this is just my opinion of the case. To me, there's just too many hinky things going on with the stories, and I never like I said, when a story changes, that's never good. And I put a lot of trust in dogs because I've seen how they're trained. So that's a huge thing to me. Now, people say, well, if she was guilty, they would have arrested her by now. A cop told me one time, what you know and what you can prove are two different things. You have to be able to prove it. This family still once a year comes out and on the anniversary of her disappearance does the age progressions, but they don't do much in between. And I looked at the website, it's really out of date. Again, now this part kind of reminds me of Carly Gousset, another missing girl, where I can't imagine if I had a missing child letting their website go out of date or not posting about it, etc. I mean, I know life has to go on at some point, but it doesn't mean that you wouldn't at least keep the websites up to date and at least keep a Facebook page going. I looked at the official Facebook page. There's not much on there since early last year. Just seems odd to me. There's a lot to this case. There's a lot of hinky things. She's had friends and family members come out. The family member was anonymous and said that they felt she had a problem with alcohol, which I feel could very easily be true, and hinted that she was getting into drugs, allegedly. Now, that's just rumor. That's just what someone said. Another woman that used to be close to her said that she's a con woman and you can't trust her. So we have to keep these things in mind, too. Sorry about my dog barking. I've also watched a lot of interviews with her and her husband, and, the husband kind of reminds me of the Darlie Routier case, where the husband just stands beside her and never leaves her. I mean, I guess he eventually left her, but it took a long time. But he's definitely standing by her. But in some of the interviews, she comes across as so flippant. And I know one really stood out to me where she said, the only thing I'm guilty of is drinking, and that doesn't mean I would do something like that. Like that? Like what? That seems a very odd thing to say. And this was early in the case where she said that. Y'all know I'm still studying statement analysis, so that really stuck out to me that she would say something like that. I can't imagine saying that if my child was missing. That would not be something I would say. I wish I could get a hold of some of the written statements so I could do statement analysis on them, but I'm having trouble finding them in written form. So if anybody sees them, I would love to get a hold of those. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think? Do you think the mom had something to do with it? Do you think she's still alive? I hope and pray she's still alive, but I feel like she's probably not. But I hope I'm wrong. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And have a wonderful day.